Our summer movie fest may have come to an end last week, but I don't think that the whole summer vibe is entirely over. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, school is coming back, kids are going back to school and stuff, but how are you going to recapture that summer vibe? And I feel like there is no other place to look than a movie that has been sort of 23 years in the making or waiting to be made, and that is none other than Lilo and Stitch. Now, before I begin, I know this is typically where I would put a spoiler warning, but considering that the film is already on streaming, has already been in theaters already for a while now, I feel like there's no need to put a spoiler warning in this video. But honestly, if you've already watched the very original, the actual animated version, you're not going to be missing a whole lot here, but there are some elements of the story that are different. But nonetheless, it really does follow that style. But if you don't want to know about any spoilers, you can also click out of the video and watch the video. But I'm not going to put a spoiler warning up for you guys because I don't feel like it's necessary. So now that we got that out of the way, let's continue. So like I said before, it has been 23 years since the original came out. It blows my mind to think that it's been 23 years. I remember, when this movie came out on DVD. Think about that for a second. I remember people going and buying the DVD to, this movie. And it was so wild to think that at that point in time, I could remember that because I know for a fact that I have the DVD. It's somewhere in a box, but I definitely have the DVD of Lilo and Stitch. And it's such a classic film from Disney that it just needed that push into live action, especially now that we have all this incredible technology. And we also have people who are interested in telling a really great story. So I feel like that is why we are at this point now with this live action film. And with a move to live action also comes changes to the story. Now, I thought for a fact that they were going to follow the original film to the T, exactly how it was in the original. And as much as that could have been the case, they decided to go a different route in this film and actually do some tweaks to the story. But I feel like for the fact that we're dealing with real people here, we're dealing with human beings, not animated people. We're dealing with real human beings. I feel like the changes that they did to the story kind of bring it up to speed. It's become more modernized in a way. And they've added elements to keep it more grounded, to keep it more in reality. And as much as I would say that it's not really the type of thing that I would hope for to kind of base this whole thing around reality, it works. It just works. It works really well. Not to a perfect extent, but it works really well. And I feel like ultimately everything kind of connects in the end when it comes to the human side of the story. And when they do actually, bring in those elements, it kind of works to the movie's favor, and sometimes it works to its detriment. But we're going to cover that a little bit later. So let's talk about some positives of this film. The soundtrack. I think the soundtrack of this film was great. It brings all the original songs that we remembered from the original film into this one, and I love that. It's a nostalgic transition, sort of, in a way, because kind of reliving those moments that we lived back in the early 2000s, and now listening to these songs again in this live action form is just so cool. It puts you back into that same mindset of Lilo and Stitch that you had back then. You're gonna have Heartbreak Hotel, you're gonna have Devil in Disguise, you're gonna have Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, you're gonna have all these songs that you remember from Lilo and Stitch in here. And that is such a nice move. Even if you have maybe one or two songs that are new, the classics are still there. And I love that they were capable of actually putting those things in live action. Other movies would have completely disregarded that, but they were capable of putting it in, and I love that. And sort of coinciding with the soundtrack of this film, the visuals as well are fantastic. I mean, just the animated characters are a one-to-one recreation of their animated counterpart. You know, you have Pleakley. Looks just like Pleakley from the animated film. You have Jumba. Looks just like Jumba from the animated film. Stitch is a one-to-one recreation. So you are getting those animated characters precisely identical to their animated counterparts, just in sort of like live action animated form. You know, the animated live action form of those characters are here, and they look excellent. Excellent. There's not a single moment where I'm looking at the CG and I'm like, doesn't look good. No, the CG looks perfect. It looks fun. It's entertaining to look at because you're like, whoa, I've seen this before in a hand-drawn way, and now I'm seeing it in 3D sort of realistic form. I love that. I love that they were able to do this and bring those visuals back. Even things like ships. The ships like in this movie, the ships in this movie are just absolutely identical to what you see in, you know, the animated form, which blew my mind as well. You know, seeing that giant plane spaceship looking thing, super cool. Super cool to see that in live action. You know, animated as well, CG, but the CG is a one-to-one ratio of the original, which was amazing. And oh my goodness, like just the overall essence of Lilo and Stitch that was in animated form was replicated here with the CG. And I am just so glad that it looked that good. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different for this video. Considering that this is a animated to live action transition, I'm going to be putting the photo of the actor along with the character that they're playing, and if it's a CG character, the CG character with the animated character, so that you guys can get a sense of who we're talking about here and that sort of thing. But I feel like it's such a good one-to-one ratio that you guys are going to see it in this video anyway. Now, let's start off with Maya Kealoha. Holy cow. This little girl is Lilo. There is no question about it. When I saw the trailer the first time, I was skeptical. I was kind of on the fence. I had no idea if it was gonna work, if there was certain things about the story with this little girl that just didn't feel about it. Once you see the movie, that's her. That is Lilo. There is no other way to describe it. That is exactly what Lilo needs to feel like, and Maya does an incredible job here. Incredible job. There are nuances of Lilo in the animated version that she brings to this one, which I absolutely love. There's moments that are of heart that you feel for her, because you kind of feel for Lilo in the original as well. But to translate that into live action is so well done, and I absolutely love what they did with her in this film. Another person we need to give props to is Sydney Agadam. She plays Nani very, very well. Now, there is a small caveat with this character that I think, for me, this was just me as a preconceived notion from the original film. And that is that I thought that this character needed to be older in order for it to work. Because I remember seeing Nani in the original, and she didn't look younger. She looked older to me. So for me, I thought that, you know, Nani was like around her 30s, and Lilo was around maybe 6 or 7 years old. That was where my mind was when I saw the original. And then when I saw it in live action, I was like, okay, now I understand. Nani needs to be this age, otherwise it doesn't work. And I feel like Sydney does a great job here, kind of embodying a character that needs to kind of grow up to play sort of a parental role in this case. And, you know, it plays out so well. She plays this role very well. She interacts with Lilo so well. with Maya and Sydney, interactions are perfect. Feel like the characters that they, are playing, and it doesn't feel out of place. There's no moment here where I'm looking at these characters and I'm like, this is not what these characters would feel like. This is exactly how these characters need to feel like in order to work. And considering that she's playing a role that needs to grow up, like she's a kid that needs to grow up in order to play a parental role in Lilo's life. It's very interesting, and they touch upon it a lot in this film. That's something that you don't see as much in the original film. I feel like the original film feels a lot more kid-like and a lot more, awake, but in this case, they try to ground it in a whole lot more realism. So her, like, looking for jobs, her, trying to figure things out. Sydney does a great job of embodying all those aspects that would make Nani a great character, and she plays it really well. I feel like now seeing it in live action, this is the correct age in order to make Nani more believable, and I feel like that was a great choice. Sydney Ogedong, absolutely fantastic. Next up, Zach Galifianakis as Jumbo. I feel like he did a great job here. I feel like Zach Galifianakis was handed the role, and he did the best that he could with what he was given. Now, he's a whole lot more comedic. Zach Galifianakis is a whole lot more comedic, and he has to play this role in a more sinister way, which, honestly, for me, I feel like this version of Jumba is kind of like a small downside for me of this movie. It's not like a perfect one-to-one recreation in terms of the voice and essence of the character, and I think it's really weird to see this character not have that accent, like the Russian style accent that we used to hear from the original animated version. So to see this character come in and kind of have this normal voice, normal character voice, and then have Zach Galifianakis play this role was interesting, was really interesting. Now, my dad brought something up as we were watching this film. He said, you know who would be great for this role? Seth Rogen. And then when my dad said that, I was like, that's true. Seth Rogen would have been great for this role, because I feel like he would have added more nuance to the character in a more comedic way. But here's the thing. They didn't write Jumba as a comedic role this time around. It's so weird to me that they would make him like the enemy in this story. We had a really great enemy in the original, which I will talk about later on. But we had a great enemy in the original. Why not bring that enemy into live action? I don't know. We'll have to see for the future of Lilo and Stitch. But nonetheless, I feel like Zach Galifianakis did a great job. Jumbo looked great as, that live action, CG, because it's a one-to-one recreation of the animated form. So I feel like that's a plus there. But I feel like when it comes to this character, Zach Galifianakis did great. The problem is not Zach Galifianakis, it's the script that was given to him, which did not allow him to, use his comedic chops. And I feel like Jumba as a character should be a little bit more comedic. So in this case, it's not the actor, it's the writing that kind of writes this character in a more sinister way. And I don't think Jumba is a sinister guy. Billy Magnuson as Pleakley. I am blown away as to how well they were able to bring Pleakley into live action. It feels like a one-to-one transition here. It's probably, let's put it like this, next to Stitch, it is probably the best character in terms of its transition. Sounds the same, acts the same, same motives, same gestures, absolutely great. Billy Magnuson, wonderful job on his end. He was fantastic. Courtney B. Vance. Yeah, this guy right here is playing Cobra Bubbles. Now, I have a small bone to pick here because, first off, Courtney B. Vance here, great actor. Plays the role really well. He is the sort of FBI agent, like really serious, needs to get down to business sort of thing, and will do anything in his will to actually go and transform himself into something in order to actually get close to Stitch and that sort of thing. So he does a really great job there. He does really well. Courtney Vance, there's no question, he's a great actor. But in my opinion, it would be really great to have the OG Cobra Bubbles come and do the live action version, and that's Ving Rhames. Now, I don't know if it was a scheduling issue. I don't know if there was some ulterior thing that he just didn't want to do the role, but let me tell you, Ving Rhames would have been great. Oh my goodness. I would love to see Ving Rhames play Cobra Bubbles in live action, because he would just do it. We see Ving in Mission Impossible, and every time I hear his voice, I'm like, man, him as Cobra Bubbles in live action would be so good. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. But nonetheless, Courtney B. Vance absolutely does a great job playing Cobra Bubbles, playing that agent that will do anything to get close to Stitch and to prove that aliens are real. Period. Tia Carrere as Miss Keikoa. I love when they bring characters from the original film and bring them into live action. But in this case, they brought the voice actress to play a secondary role to kind of pay homage. And because she played Nani in the original Lilo and Stitch, I feel like that was a really great little homage. She has a very small role in this movie, but just the fact that they were willing to bring her into live action, bring Tia Carrere to play this role in the live action version, and have her play sort of the person who's technically there to check up on Nani and see if she's taking care of Lilo, and have the two interact, being that one played the character in the animated version, and now she is there having a conversation with the other version of Nani. Really cool, and I think that was a really nice touch that they added in this filming, bringing Tia on to play this role. Hannah Waddingham. I was shocked to find out that Hannah Waddingham did not do the voice of the original Grand Councilwoman, because to me, she played the role 1-to-1. It was fantastic. Her voice fit the role. She brought that sort of like serious kind of, woman who's trying to protect the galaxy in this sort of way. And honestly, she's just absolutely great in this role. I was blown away to hear that she wasn't the original voice, because honestly, I could watch this and be like, wait, is she the original voice? That's how well done her job is in this film. Again, small role in this film, but excellent at bringing presence to the screen, and she did beautifully well. And obviously, you have to leave the absolute best for last. I can't talk about him first. You have to talk about him last, and that is Chris Sanders. Here, back once again, playing Stitch. Obviously, he is the original Stitch, so there is no doubt that he is going to play this role amazingly well, with the true nuances and incredible, touches and heartful moments that you hear from Stitch in the original film, and to be able to see Maya and Chris, obviously completely different times, because he wasn't on set, to my knowledge, doing the voice, but ultimately how it all pans out in the final edit of the film, so well done, and truly brings the heartfelt nature of what Stitch needs to be. And I love that he did that. I love that they were able to capture that, nuances, the craziness, the little breaks in the voice here and there, the wants to belong, the need to be, connected to someone, because he's a little alien that never had a family and never had any sort of love given to him. And then when he finally finds that, it's heartfelt, it's true, and it works. And I love that they brought him back to do him once again in live action. So kudos to Disney for bringing back the original Stitch to do the voice of the live action one, because it just feels original and it's such a strong aspect of this film. Now, when it comes down to it, I feel like they did really great things with this film. Being that it is a new version, an updated version of Lilo and Stitch, I feel like you're gonna find things that you're gonna love about this movie. You're gonna find that your favorite moments are gonna be there. You're gonna find little moments that you remember from the film, the original animated film, that are gonna be here. Stitch with his finger on the actual, vinyl record, and him opening his mouth and he plays the song through his mouth. That's here. The fight between Lilo and Nani, seeing all these little nuances that you remember from the original film are there. But there's also a lot of scenes that are not there, that are kind of missing in this story. And I feel like, sure, they could touch upon it later on, and maybe in the future film, but maybe, they could have kept those things in there. Things for people who loved the original that they could see in this one, And that also leads into the fact that you don't really need to watch the original to see this film. You just don't need to. It's not like a requirement. You don't have to sit here and be like, oh, I gotta watch the original because this makes no sense. No, you can watch this film, sit back, watch the entire story, and just feel enveloped in that story. There's no need to do homework, and I love that. And it works for both people. It works for people who have seen the movie and people who have not seen the original movie. So it's so great to see those little things transition to live action. And I think one of the big ones that I can remember is Ice Cream Guy, or I should say Snow Cone Guy. Snow Cone Guy is in this movie, and I love that. I love that they were able to bring that character into live action. And just, it's so nice. It's so nice to see those little touches. That just brings you back to that moment of seeing the animated version. And honestly, again, kudos to Disney for sticking to their guns and bringing a great little story to life. Now, there are aspects of this movie that most people are gonna love and some people are not gonna love. But, I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot that I can say bad about this movie. One thing that I do have to say is that the ending of the original film, I feel like was better. I feel like you had a greater action sequence in the original. In the original, you had this moment where you're like, okay, there's action happening, there's a chase sequence. It feels almost like a Star Wars kind of moment where you're seeing this animated, chase sequence. I love that. I love how the original film's ending ended up being. Now, they try to recreate it here, but it just doesn't have the same action that you expect from that finale. You have a little bit less. They try to ground that part of the story a little bit more. But I honestly believe that the ending of the original is better, but even the ending of the live action still keeps that story in solid ground, and I feel like it doesn't break the story. I just feel like the original animated version was a little bit better. Now, another aspect of this film that I feel like was a bit of a miss, just a tiny miss in this story, was not having Gontu in the story. Now, Gontu, if you remember, was the big hulking kind of almost shark-looking character that they had. I really wish that they had that character here, because then you would take the negative sort of dark side version of Jumba and put back into him, and Jumba could have just been his, bubbly kind of, awkward yet funny character that we loved, and not be like sort of the enemy in the story. So in that case, I feel like it was a really interesting choice to not have him in the story, but I feel like you could possibly have him in the next film in some capacity. So I feel like that is a good thing, but also I really wish they had gone to in this movie, because he would have been like that sort of hulking mass of a character that would just exude a sort of like heavy presence, and having that character in there would have been great. So it's kind of a letdown. I get it that they wanted to like shorten sort of aspects of the movie, but I feel like for this one in specific, I really wish Gantu was there. But I don't think that none of those little negative things really took down the movie, because ultimately speaking, the reviews of this movie are great. I mean, you look at the Rotten Tomato score. I mean, look at this. This is great. For a movie that Disney puts out a live action for it not to have a bad score, it's rare. Typically, these movies have bad scores. This one, on the other hand, didn't have a bad score, and I'm very happy that it didn't. You know, it really did embody a lot of great things from the original, and I would say it's most good than not. You know, there's very tiny aspects are bad, and ultimately, I feel like what propelled this movie was not only the good reviews, but also we had a couple of great, you know, word of mouth experiences. You know, I saw a bunch of reviewers talking about the movie saying, hey, this is a great movie. This is a great opportunity for Disney to see what fans want. And ultimately speaking, I feel like just this movie alone is already changing how Disney does things. I mean, last I heard, due to the success of Lilo and Stitch, Disney stopped production on 2 other live actions, which is mind-blowing. Like, to think that this little movie on a low, like $100 million budget, and I'm talking about a tiny budget. This is a movie that was a tiny budget, and it made $1 billion. Like, that is insane to think about. Like, a tiny film with not a whole lot of special effects or anything. Special effects, obviously, for characters, but without any sort of like massive CG set pieces and that sort of thing, made $1 billion. Like, that tells Disney, like, listen, your other live action projects aren't doing as well because they're not connecting with audiences the way that the originals did. And then when this one comes along and truly connects with people the way it's supposed to, you have a successful movie on your hands, like a successful formula on your hands. And that's what they did. They played all the right cards, and this is where it got them. Now, something really interesting happened as I was watching this film, and that is, I was watching it and I was looking at how it was done, how it was filmed, certain aspects of the film and nuances, and I feel like deep down, and this is just an idea that I came up with while I was watching this movie, and that is, I feel like this film was essentially going to be a Disney Plus movie. This, for me personally, while I was watching it, it just felt like a Disney Plus movie. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it as a bad thing, like, oh, it's a Disney Plus thing. No. It felt like a Disney Plus project. Like something that was going to go straight to streaming. No film, sort of connection. It wasn't going to be in theaters. There wasn't going to be like a limited release or anything. None of that. It just felt like it was made for Disney Plus. And then Disney looked at it and said, you know what? We could put this out in theaters and probably make a ton of money. And I feel like that gamble was the right call because ultimately it made $1 billion. So I feel like Disney needs to learn how to balance certain projects that they choose to put on, Disney Plus or to put them in theaters. This one felt like a Disney Plus project that they put in theaters. Sort of like Moana 2, but then again, Moana 2 was officially going to be a series on Disney Plus, and they just re-edited the series into a film, and ultimately that is what we got. And I can clearly see that. As you watch Moana 2, you can see that it was a Disney Plus project, clearly, because it's not to the same level as the original in certain aspects, specifically music. But that's a different story for a different time. For this one in specific, I feel like they did a great thing. It's beautifully shot. There are moments that you're going to love. Music is great. And ultimately, it's a gamble that paid off. And Disney ultimately is going to learn that sometimes movies need to be shown in theaters, regardless of whether you want to put them on streaming or not. They do need to have at least a theatrical run to give them a chance to actually be seen on a big screen. Now, obviously, with the success of this film, clearly, we are now getting a sequel. And Disney announced the sequel very shortly after, it crossed several hundred million at the box office. I think it was right before this movie reached $1 billion at the box office. They announced already that it was going to be a sequel to this film, and I love that. I love that they're getting a sequel, and they're going to be able to come back and bring all these incredible actors and, have this film kind of continue on. And who knows, maybe it's going to have a trilogy and maybe a spin-off, and maybe then we'll probably get an expansion of the Lilo and Stitch story in a Disney Plus capacity. But I feel like it's such a great thing to see a movie win this way, specifically when it comes to a live action coming in to do sort of like a remake of the original, and seeing that win for Disney is such a great thing. But all in all, I think this movie is great. It's great. It's a solid film, and I think everyone who sits down to watch this film is going to enjoy it. Whether it's Stitch's, nuances, like how quirky he is, all the mischievous mayhem that he causes, people are going to love that. People are going to love watching that happen, seeing Lilo interact with Nani, relive the moments that you have with Jumba and Pleakley. All these incredible things are in this film, and I feel like that's what makes this movie such a solid watch and such a well-recommended film. And I truly do recommend, if you have not watched this film, go watch this film. There are gonna be moments of this film where you are going to cry. You are going to be in your feels. I know for a fact I probably teared up maybe 2 or 3 times in this movie, because not only was it of a moment that was there before that I loved seeing, but also of a new moment that wasn't there before that ultimately will get you in that sort of feeling of, okay, we're now in sort of like this Lilo and Stitch world, and I absolutely love that. And I love that they were able to pull it off without making it such, a different film. They kept it true to the original and kept it, firmly placed in the ground of not only reality, but where people would love to see these characters again. And I can't wait to see the second film in this Lilo and Stitch possible trilogy that they have, hopefully, coming for them. So like I say in all my other videos, that's just my opinion. All these things are just my opinion. And I want to hear from you. Did you watch Lilo and Stitch? Did you watch it on streaming? Did you watch it in theaters? What was your experience like? Were you excited for the movie when they announced it? Are you going to see the second movie once it comes out? Would you like to see maybe an expansion of Lilo and Stitch into maybe a spin-off of some kind? Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do with Lilo and Stitch in the future, other than the movie, obviously. But then again, those things are my opinion, and those are my questions to you. But ultimately, if you're down in the comments, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I'll see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant. What a scene! Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.